This is One on One.
One bold engineering project is giving the coastal communities of Staten Island hope.
What if we just look at this a whole new way, look at the problem a new way, and look for new solutions?
Pippa Brashear is an urban planner and landscape architect. She works with a team that believes the answer is to stop trying to fight the sea, but to learn to live with it, and even harness it to do good, not harm.
The design project that ultimately came out of it was our Living Breakwaters project. The project is located on the southern tip of Staten Island. It was really pummeled by waves during Sandy. Our Living Breakwaters project, it's a system of offshore breakwaters. Each of the individual breakwaters range from about 300 feet long to 450 feet long, and they are spaced along the shoreline to really protect it from the most damaging waves.
Oh boy, it's real, isn't it? This is Pippa Brashear, who joins us. By the way, thank you to our friends at PBS for providing that video from Sinking Cities. How vulnerable is Staten Island?
It's very vulnerable. I think it was one of the areas that was hardest hit during Superstorm Sandy. But what we don't think about also is the sort of gradual threat of sea level rise and erosion. The North Shore is getting some big, tall coastal protection projects. But the South Shore, in addition to suffering from wave damage and flooding during Sandy, the shoreline is slowly eroding over time. You know, we're losing the beach, and that's the first kind of line of protection for public space, for homes that are there.
I know Staten Island very well, and some friends of ours in the media business who are out there. They call themselves patriotic Americans, like most of us, but they skew a certain way politically and otherwise. I imagine there are a significant number of, dare I say, climate deniers. Are there fewer today than there, last few years?
I don't know. We have seen, folks in some of the neighborhoods near where the breakwaters are being built say, there are no waves here. And it says, well, if you stand out there day to day, there's very small waves. But those waves are actually carrying away the sand, one day to the next. And there were waves during Sandy. But I think what we also find is the next generation on Staten Island, the students, have been really interested and involved in this project. I've worked with, a class there that has come to talk to us about the project, and they'll tell me things about the project.
Define the project. Is it to try to protect Staten Island from the future, or is it, I hate to put it this way, is it too late?
Is it too late to impact? Climate change is happening. It's too late to change the storms.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I think it is. I don't like to use the term protect either. I think what we like to talk about the project as a resilience project, partly because it is not, the breakwaters, they're not going to keep the water out. They're not going to keep that part of Staten Island from flooding, and flooding was a threat there. But there's a difference between having water in the first floor of your home and having things to clean up and repair afterwards, and having your house knocked off its foundation. It is both mitigation and risk reduction. So it is mitigating the risk of wave damage. It's mitigating the risk of the shoreline eroding over time, which will reduce the risk from storms. So what's that doing is saying, near term, after it's built, it's going to make the damage from those storms less, but it's also going to make us, or people who are living near the shore in Staten Island, able to live there for longer. Because when we're talking about climate change, we have serious threats tomorrow, but they're really bigger threats 50 years down the road. And we need to have a way to gradually get there, I don't live on the coastline there, but I understand that if you move to a community that's on the coast, there's a certain reason that you live there. You have a certain relationship with the water and the ocean. And if someone comes and puts a 20-foot high wall in front of you, that's not the same place.
To that end, I've personalized more than I probably should here, but we live in a shore community down in the Jersey Shore. It's Lavalette on the beach. Yeah. And I remember when they were building, they did it last year, this significant wall.
Yeah.
And I could not believe the number of neighbors that complained. And I thought, really? Yeah. The view? We love it. But isn't the first thing to protect these homes? Or should we have ever been there in the first place? Whole nother story.
Yeah.
But it is not going to take a gradual approach to have any real impact.
No, we're going to need to take big steps. Even big steps are going to be gradual. Things like the Living Breakwaters is going to be a big investment in that community, but it will function both immediately in terms of reducing those waves, but gradually over time to build back the beach. The other thing is, you talked about the wall and people are worried about their view. There are different ways to design and develop this. And I've said before, we tried to think differently about the Living Breakwaters. We can't think only about the risk because it's reducing risk to maintain the quality of life that we want to have, to maintain the environment that we live in. And so the breakwaters are designed to actually build back ecosystems and enhance the habitat in Raritan Bay. And there's a significant program going alongside of them with education and outreach to promote stewardship because it is going to take time, and people are going to need to advocate for and maintain and sustain and steward the projects that we build into the future.
Pippa, you're committed long term, aren't you?
Yes.
Where'd you grow up?
I actually grew up in Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia, Central Virginia.
And 30 seconds left, your passion to do what you're doing is deep.
Yes. As a landscape architect who studied sort of science over the years too, I really wanted to merge the area of science and design, but make it real, build things that were going to create spaces for people to inhabit day to day and be able to live and thrive into the future. And so that's where my passion for this work and for this project comes from.
Pippa, thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
With your colleagues. Well done. I'm Steve Adubato. See you next time.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by R.W.J. Barnabas Health, the Russell Berry Foundation, the Northward Center, New Jersey Resources, the New Jersey Education Association, ADP, and by MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by AM 970 The Answer and by New Jersey Monthly. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.